I worked at a nearby fast food restaurant from where I lived. This wasn't the safest part of town, but it worked well for me because rent was cheap. I worked mainly evening shifts from around 5 p.m. till 12 a.m. I had cool co-workers that I got along well with. The job wasn't too bad and my apartment was decent, so I was a bit comfortable for this stage of my life. The only thing I did not like was not having a car. My co-workers would drop me off back home occasionally, and sometimes I would just walk home. It was only about 10 minutes walk, so it wasn't really that bad. There was a homeless man who lived on the side of the street on my way from work. He would make funny jokes whenever I saw him, and that kind of helped brighten my mood. So once in a while I would give him some spare change if I had any. One day on my way back from work, I got close to where he would usually stay. I noticed he looked a bit different, kind of rougher than usual, and he had lost a bit of weight. I asked him if he was doing okay and he didn't respond. I just kept walking and went home. A couple of weeks later, my coworker told me that the homeless guy close by is very heavy on drugs now, and he's been acting very weird. That made sense to me because he just started to look and act different. No longer the funny guy he used to be, but now very closed off and sickly looking. That evening I was walking home and I saw him again. This time he's looking at me as I approach where he stays. As I get close, he orders me to give him some money. Not asking in a kind way either. I just keep walking and then he asks me if I'm deaf. At this point I tell him lay off the drugs and I walk home. The next day I start being nervous of the thought of walking back past him again after work. I asked my coworker to drop me off so I don't have to see him, and he was kind enough to understand. That evening when we were done from work, I get in my coworker's car and he starts driving. When we get towards the homeless man, we see him standing right there, kind of waiting. He spots me in my coworker's car and immediately throws a brick towards us. My coworker tries to swerve the car, but the brick hits his window and shatters it. He just kept driving, and we were both very frightened and angry at the same time. We reported the incident to the police, and they said they would go arrest him the next day. That next day, my coworker tells me he would not be able to drive me home today, not to risk his car getting more damage, and he was going to take it for repairs soon. Right before closing, I called the police and asked if the homeless man was arrested yet. They told me they were not sure because a bunch of homeless people incidents happened that same day, and they will need time to know exactly which one I was referring to. This made me sick because I didn't know if I would be walking into this crazy guy again. I packed my stuff and I just hoped for the best because I had to go home. My heart pounded as I got close to the area. I looked as I walked and I could not see him. His stuff were scattered all over. I made a turn at the corner and suddenly he jumped out. I was so shocked and scared I almost peed myself. He starts yelling and swearing that I must give him money right now. The streets are a bit empty at this time and all I thought I could do was run away honestly. He starts approaching me, looking almost like a zombie from all the drugs in his system. Fortunately for me, I hear the police siren. They got here right in time and I immediately run towards their car and explained to them what was going on. They said they decided to come check and see what was going on with the homeless guy because a bunch of other people in the area also had incidents with him. He was handcuffed and taken away that night. What would have happened if the police were not there on time?